What's happening, folks? Welcome to the channel. I'm Andy, the Electric Geek, and in this video, yes, I'm still addicted to buying movies secondhand from CEX, so we're going to be going over the 10 titles that I've added to my collection recently that are mainly from CEX. However, there are 2 films that are from my local video store, Fast Forward and Air. They also sell kind of repurposed, refurbished Blu-ray, so I managed to get a couple of deals from there also, which I've kind of slipped in. But we're going through all 10 movies. There's 2 4Ks in there, and one of the Blu-rays is also a steelbook. So if you're interested to know what I've kind of picked up recently, what I've added to the collection on a budget, then stay tuned and we'll jump straight into it. Okay, so the first pickup I'm going to discuss today is Rian Johnson's Brick on Blu-ray. Now this is the only title that I picked up from my Irvine CEX. I went there specifically to get this because I like to use the app to kind of look for out of print or 4Ks, whatever it is I might be looking for. I use the app to search and I filter the stores that are near me and I see if there's anything I can actually just go in and raid, and Brick was one of them. When I got there, I just couldn't find it anywhere though, and I asked the staff member. Unfortunately, I think it'd been repriced recently or something, and it was just sitting in a pile through the back, so she went and got it for me, which was ideal. But yeah, I did pay £12 for this. Now, I don't like paying over 10 quid, even over 5 quid to be honest, for second-hand Blu-ray, but because it's out of print, and I hadn't seen it before, I actually got recommended it on a reel on Letterboxd. If you don't follow me on Letterboxd, you can. I kind of vlog what I've been watching on there and I put the odd review on, so it's something else you can follow if you want to keep up to date with what I watch and my taste and whatnot. But yeah, I seen this reel and it discussed, you know, this has been a bit of a hidden gem. It was Rian Johnson's debut film, kind of indie film, and it's really quirky and it's worth checking out. It wasn't maybe as enjoyable as I kind of hoped it was going to be, but it certainly was worth watching, and I'm kind of glad I've added it to the collection. And because it's quite rare, I think I'm going to hold on to it. It's got quite a kind of unusual or eye-catching artwork. I think it's because it's all blue and you've got the blue amaret case. But it stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and basically it's a throwback to those kind of old black and white 50s kind of neo-noir films, but it's obviously contemporary. I think it was set in 2005, it came out around about then anyway, and basically his kind of on and off girlfriend turns up dead and is murdered, and he kind of finds that out before the authorities do, and he kind of keeps it to himself, hides the body, and starts his own kind of investigation. Just before she's murdered, they have a bit of a falling out, and she kind of ends up running with the wrong crowd as such, and that's maybe why she kind of ends up turning up dead. But I won't obviously spoil the mystery, but there's some great twists and turns along the way, some kind of unique editing choices, and Rian Johnson's brother composes the score, and it's really unique and original, and for an indie movie, it's quite dynamic as well, quite unusual use of sound to kind of envelope you and wrap up the tension. It's quite a kind of tense film throughout, but definitely worth checking out. As I say, on eBay this was going for like anywhere between 20 and 30 quid, and CEX was selling it for £12 because they understandably realised that it was out of print. So I'm glad I've added it to the collection, and if you see it going for cheap in a charity shop or even in CEX or something, then definitely snag it, because it's one that you can maybe resell if you don't like it after you've watched it. You may actually make some money on it. So that's Brick on Blu-ray. So as I say, that was everything from Irvine, but Air CEX is my local haunt. It's about a 10-minute walk from my house, and that's where I pick up most of my CEX titles. So first up is a 4K title, and shamefully I still have not seen this, despite picking it up a few months ago actually. This is one that I just keep forgetting to include in these whole videos. But that movie is A Clockwork Orange. I'm sure you're reeling in disgust at me saying that I've not seen this, and I own it and I've still not seen it. But I think it's got a really nice slipcase.
Where's my slip covers?
I know some people are mad for slipcases. I'm a wee bit like that also, a wee bit OCD. But this was in good condition. I got it for £10, that's all it was. And I had a voucher, I think it came out at like £4. So to get a film as classic as this on 4K with a slipcover for basically £4 cash, I thought that was an absolute steal. I don't know anything about the transfer on this. I'm assuming it's going to be the best it's ever looked. And I've never seen it on broadcast TV, on Blu-ray or anything. So the quality of the remaster is probably going to be lost on me. I'm sure I'll be able to appreciate how nice it looks, have an understanding for how these kind of older films look. But I won't get that full effect because I've never seen it before, so I'm not going to fully appreciate how good it looks, kind of thing. But I am looking forward to watching it. I think the problem is that this is a film I've kind of known about since I was a little kid, because my auntie and uncle, who are right into movies, liked it, and they used to have posters of it and all that. And it was always a big no-no. It was always like, you know, if you asked about the poster, it was always, oh, you can't watch that, it's too adult, too violent, whatever. So I built up this kind of fear of it, if you like, right since I was a young kid. I know it's not horror or anything, but I think I've allowed myself to think that it's a lot darker and a harder watch than it probably is. And recently I've confessed to a few people that haven't seen this yet, and they've told me, no, it's actually quite dark, like comedic and stuff. And I do have quite a dark sense of humour, so I'll probably enjoy it, and it's probably not going to be as heavy a watch as I think. But yeah, I've got quite a few blind spots when it comes to Stanley Kubrick, and this is a big one, so I'll definitely watch it. No doubt I'll be hanged in the comments about this, and that'll inspire me to watch it, but it's definitely up the watch list, and it's maybe the next 4K that I'll watch. But yeah, that's A Clockwork Orange. So from Clockwork Orange on 4K, I then picked up Saban's Power Rangers. So to explain why on earth I would go near a Power Rangers movie, especially this reboot, is because I'm a kid in the 90s. So I was born in the mid-80s, but I grew up in the 90s, and I was absolutely addicted, like we all were back then, to the original Power Rangers when it was broadcast on TV. Absolutely loved it. I used to jump about my street, doing karate kicks and all that, and pretending I was a Power Ranger. I actually liked Zach, the Black Ranger. I just liked his costume. I don't know why. But yeah, Zach was my favourite. And I quite liked the white Green Ranger when he came about. But yeah, I'd seen on Shane Lee's channel, or his recently renamed channel, it used to be Spare Change. He did a review of this in 4K years ago and basically said the movie was garbage, but as a demo disc, it looked fantastic and it had a really dynamic Atmos soundtrack. So that was why it was always on my radar to pick it up. So I did pick it up. It was only £1 in CEX in there. No slipcover or anything. And I think it's also got a digital download code actually. I've just not checked it yet to see if it's still live. So I might actually just use that and get rid of it, because I wasn't all that impressed. But to be fair, it was before I added the kind of dedicated proper height channels that I've got now. So I might watch it again and see if I can have noticed a bit more activity up top, and it maybe sounds a bit more dynamic. It was good, but maybe just not as, you know, amazing as I thought it was going to be after his recommendation. But his setup is like, you know, probably akin to like an IMAX theatre in comparison to my setup. But yeah, basically Power Rangers is a reboot of obviously the 90s TV show. And you know what? It's actually alright. It's okay. I'm not going to pretend to anyone to go out there and grab it because it's fantastic or anything. The main lead who plays rebooted Jason, if you like, I forget his name now, but he's the guy who played Billy in season 3 of Stranger Things, the kind of villain turned hero at the end, not to spoil it. And he was pretty good. He's got a bit of charisma and a bit of presence, and he does kind of hold the ensemble together. There's a wee cameo from the Green Ranger and the Pink Ranger in there also. I think they were supposed to have more screen time, but I think that scene was deleted. I think that scene is on the special features. Actually, I did watch some of the special features. They're quite kind of pedestrian, nothing amazing, just your typical kind of press junket stuff that goes along with this. But yeah, basically just kind of retells the story of the Power Rangers, and it just lacks the kind of the heart and the nostalgic kind of charm of the original stuff. It's more akin to that of a kind of Marvel movie. That's obviously been the kind of inspiration for this. I think Saban's thought he's always just trying to grab as much cash as he can with the Power Rangers, and I think he lives off it, obviously. And it's okay. If you're a fan of the original Power Rangers, you'll have a bit of fun with this, but I think you will just be yearning to watch the original stuff. Although I did that, and I only got into about 10 minutes into an episode and turned it off because I wasn't aged well. And I'm 37 now. But yeah, that's the Power Rangers, and that's my explanation for why I bought it. But I don't think, to be honest, it was staying in the collection. Next up is something that's a lot more tasteful and is an excellent film, and that is Chris Nolan's... Chris Nolan? Not that I know the guy. Christopher Nolan's Memento. I had this in DVD years and years ago, got rid of it when I called my collection, so glad to finally pick it up again, this time on Blu-ray. Haven't actually checked it out yet. I wouldn't imagine it's going to look absolutely fantastic, but it will be better than I remember it on DVD. This is a fantastic film. I'm quite sure people that watch this channel at least know of it, or have probably watched it. But again, it's a kind of neo-noir, kind of murder mystery. Guy Pearce is the kind of main protagonist. Watch and find out. And Carrie-Anne Moss is a kind of supporting female co-lead, shall we say. And Joe Pantoliano's also in there as a supporting cast member, and he's really good. He's good in everything that he's in, but you'll probably know him most notably from The Matrix. But yeah, this is a fantastic film. It's got a very unusual style. Christopher Nolan is big into the concept of time, and he likes to kind of play around with that, be it a theme like an Inception or with the timeline of the movies themselves. So most notably probably Dunkirk is similar to Memento. This is probably where he got the kind of idea for how he went about the timeline in Dunkirk. But this film's all chopped up and all over the place, kind of narratively, but it does make sense come the end, but it can be quite hard to follow. It's a film that you appreciate more and more on further viewings. Kind of a bit like actually Tenet, now that I think about it. It's also got a crazy timeline, obviously, and it's a Christopher Nolan film. But yeah, the thing that's unique about this is that the main character, I forget his name in the film now, but Guy Pearce has a memory issue due to a trauma. I don't want to say too much, I don't want to spoil it because it's a fantastic film in case you haven't seen it. But he has no short-term memory, but he does have long-term memory. So he can remember everything that happened up to his trauma, which resulted in his wife being murdered. But he can't remember anything after that short-term, so he can't create new memories. So he has to tattoo information onto his body or take Polaroid photos. Remember, this was set in 2000, or it came out in 2001, I think it was. So it wasn't like there was smartphones and stuff about with good cameras on them. So he takes Polaroids and he's got them all over his apartment and notes to himself and stuff to remember the basics, from just remembering to shave and eat and all that, and to obviously follow whatever lead he found the previous day or whatever. But it's a great film, and there's plenty of special features on this, and one of the most notable ones I'll point out, which is interesting, and it was on the DVD also, is this special hidden feature, the beginning of the end. And I can't remember if it's hidden within the menu or if it's a combination you need to press. You may have to look into it. But basically you can watch the film chronologically. So all the clips put in the correct order. So you just watch it from beginning to end. Now it loses its impact that way, but it might be useful if come the end you're just a bit lost. Like you just want to iron out some of the narrative creases that you're struggling to process, and you can watch it all that way through. But yeah, fantastic film, and it ends with a cracking kind of hidden gem Bowie song as well, Something in the Air, off Bowie's 1999 album Hours, I think it is. But yeah, fantastic, and thoroughly recommend watching Memento if you haven't seen it. Next up's another classic, and that is Robert De Niro's Taxi Driver. Martin Scorsese, I should say, he was the director. But yeah, we'll all know about Taxi Driver. Now, Taxi Driver hasn't had a 4K release on its own in the UK. It was in one of the Columbia TriStar collections. I think it might have been Volume 1, might have been Volume 2, don't quote me on that. But I know you can, some people have bought that and then sold it individually on eBay. I'm just not into that. I think I'd rather wait for it. I don't know why it's not had a 4K release. Surely it'll get one. Maybe they're waiting for a notable anniversary. But this is the 35th anniversary, and it is from the 4K scan that we'll have used, no doubt, for the 4K Blu-ray, but without obviously the HDR upgrade. The audio is in DTS 5.1, and it has a 1:85:1 aspect ratio, so it does take up all of your screen. I have watched this since I got it, and I thought the transfer was excellent. It's obviously an old film. It has that kind of grimy look to it, and it was shot on film, so there's a bit of noise and whatnot. But it looks great, and it has that kind of authentic cinematic feel to it. Brilliant film. As you can see, they're nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture in 1976. Very iconic performance from Robert De Niro. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure you'll know the plot to Taxi Driver, but he's basically a Vietnam vet who's came back, and he's kind of disgusted with society, set in Manhattan, New York. Eventually, he kind of boils over until he takes matters into his own hands. And he's definitely an anti-hero. He's probably the quintessential anti-hero, actually. But it has quite a satisfying conclusion, and it has some early performances in there as well from Harvey Keitel, probably most notably Jodie Foster. And the rest of the cast is rounded out by Sybil Shepherd, Albert Brooks and Peter Boyle. So a really good ensemble cast, actually. But as you can see in the back, it's rammed with special features, which I haven't had a chance to check out yet, and I got it for £4. So I'm not sure now if I'll ever upgrade to the 4K. I might get a hold of it just to review it on the channel if it comes out in the UK. But to be honest, it's a really nice presentation, quite a slip cover, and yeah, I think I'm quite happy with this, and I thought it was a bit of a steal for £4. And the last title that I got from Air was one I already owned, but it's a unique cut of the film. So it's XMen, Days of Future Past, the Rogue Cut. Now I actually own 3 versions of this film, none of them particularly sexy, but I now have an X-Men 10 movie box set on Blu-ray, of which is included in, as part of like a trilogy, the New Beginnings trilogy. So it's just the disc I've got really. I then have this cut, which is obviously the Rogue cut and probably the most interesting. And I have the 3D version, which I also picked up from CEX, good while ago now, about a year ago. So I don't particularly love this movie, like it's not my absolute favourite, but for some reason I have 3 versions of it. But this is definitely interesting, worth checking out. I don't think it's out of print, I think you can still get it, but it does kind of hold its value. Usually floats around the kind of £10 mark. I did see it in HMV for a tenner, but It's not one you see a lot, and I'm quite sure if you go into some HMVs, it will not be there. You'd probably have to get it online, that's probably your best bet. But this was also, I think, $3.50 or something like that, pretty cheap in my local CEX, and it had the slip cover you'll see up in Lazy. I've just not bothered to clean it. I'm going to take the stickers off it. Still got the CEX logos on it. But it was in quite good nick for £3, so I decided to snag it. I actually like the slip cover on this compared to anything else I've seen. But yeah, closing the title, the big thing with this is that they shot a lot of scenes with Rogue in it. I can never say that lassie's name, but I'm not going to butcher it on here. But yeah, Rogue. So there's about 15 minutes of footage with Rogue, but I think it just got cut out because they felt it was kind of weighing down the film. It's quite a long film anyway, that's one of the longer X-Men films. But it's interesting if you're a fan of it. If you love all this stuff like I do, superhero stuff, you're not going to mind an extra 15 minutes onto an already long runtime. But I think it probably is the kind of better version of it just because it has Rogue in it. And it also has, as you can see there, 80 minutes of never before seen extras, which I think you can only find on this version of it. It also has the original cut on it though, so it is one that you can just buy and it can be your one and all copy if you like, if you don't mind going without 3D obviously, or 4K. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend checking it out if you're an X-Men fan. It's worth a watch. I'm not sure if you can get it on digital, even as a rental. I think I struggled to find it, but don't quote me on that, it might be on there. But yeah, if you see it going cheap, definitely pick it up, and I'm glad I added it to collection. So that's everything from CEX. Next up is two titles from Fast Forward and Air, and I'll leave a link to his Instagram down below. I did cover the store quite extensively in a kind of documentary interview, shall we say, with the owner, who's a good friend of mine, Colin, and we just talked about how he survived in the kind of rental trade. So I'll leave a link for that up there, and if you haven't seen that one, it's definitely worth going back and checking out. But first up, for the wholesome sum of $1.99 was Source Code. Now I have seen Source Code, but I've never owned it. So I've seen it in Colin's store, going for $1.99. I thought that would do me just nicely. It's got a short run time, I think it's about an hour and 30, and it's directed by Duncan Jones. He was the one that was originally named Zoe Bowie, or Zoe Bowie, however you want to pronounce it, and understandably changed his name because it's ridiculous, and I don't think he wanted to just be known as that kid of David Bowie who's got the crazy name. So if you didn't know, David Bowie's real name is actually David Jones. That's where the Jones comes from. So Duncan Jones is probably his real or more realistic name. But yeah, he's quite kind of low profile, and he's obviously a talented guy, creative guy, much like his dad was, and he's had some great films actually. His feature debut was Moon, which I really want to pick up in 4K. Definitely worth checking that one out, kind of similar to Ridley Scott's The Martian, but a cracking indie sci-fi film. And this is another kind of indie sci-fi film with a slightly bigger budget, but this stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Michelle Monaghan and Vera Farmiga? I can never say her name. But it's really worth checking out, really fast-paced and quite original. Basically, there's been a terrorist attack on a train in which hundreds of people died, and Jake Gyllenhaal was a kind of military army captain, secret agent, whatever you want to call him, who is using this future tech, this kind of time travel device, which can put him back into any person's body. Oh boy. On a kind of alternate timeline, 8 minutes or so before the event happens, which then gives him, you know, an unlimited amount of attempts to try and work out where the bomb is in this train and stop it before it goes off and kills everyone. So it's a kind of terrorist bomber plot, but with a sci-fi twist of that kind of time travel element. He keeps resetting every time he dives or every time he fails to stop the bomb. So that's the kind of premise, and I won't spoil it. There's a bit of a twist in there also, but really worth checking out, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. I haven't watched it since I picked it up, but that's Source Code, and for $1.99, bit of a bargain. Staying on the sci-fi theme, I then picked up Terminator Dark Fate. I think it's probably the last time, thankfully, we'll see Arnie in the role of the T-800. You've got to give them some credit for how creative they are with coming up with these ludicrous ways that they can keep bringing Arnie back in these movies. I don't know why they don't have faith in the Terminator franchise to just let it live without him. I think that's when it will start to get interesting again, when they ditch Arnie and just go in their own direction and expand the universe. This one kind of carries on directly from Terminator 2, so if you're not a fan of all the stuff that came after Terminator 2, this is a good sequel to jump onto, because I think it is actually pretty good, and it kind of retcons everything that happened after T2, and it's the kind of sequel to T2. I've not actually watched this since I got it. I watched it on 4K on Sky Movies back in the day, and I just wanted to add it to my Terminator collection. I got it for, as I say, £2, $1.99 from Fast Forward and Air. It does have some deleted and extended scenes and a couple of special features on it. No Atmos or DTSX on this one, as it is the Blu-ray, It is available in 4K, this one, but do you know what? I'm not going to bother picking it up because it's not a film I'm going to watch over and over again. It does have a 2K DI, so the 4K is an upscale. I'm not sure if it comes with Dolby Vision or anything like that, but it will obviously be HDR10, and I think it does have Atmos on it. It's actually on sale just now on Amazon for a cracking price, so I'll put a link down in the description for both of them. I think it's £8.50 or something for the 4K and £3.50 or something for the Blu-ray. So I'll link that down below, as well as links for all the movies on Amazon, should you just want to pick them up, you, yourself. But yeah, for £1.99, glad to add it to collection. And as I say, the first 40 minutes are the best of this movie, and then it can, once Arnie gets involved, it kind of dips in quality, I think. But it is still enjoyable right through to the end. And lastly, these are movies that I got from CEX in East Kilbride, and that's not one that I go to that often. East Kilbride, if you're not from Scotland, is about 15 minutes kind of southwest of Glasgow, and about 40 minutes from where I stay. So I was up there in that neck of the woods one day, I think it was through work, and I popped in. And what was unusual about it was that given I never go there, I actually got recognised. So it was the second time I've been recognised. Mental, because my channel is so minuscule, tiny little channel, and one of the staff members actually recognised me and asked me if I was in fact the ElectricGeek. So that was kind of unusual and a bit novel, but it was quite humbling, you know, that someone out with my hometown and stuff has actually watched my channel and recognised me. So that was pretty cool, and he was quite encouraging and complimentary on my content. So if you're watching this, mate, you know who you are, and it was nice of you to reach out as I was buying the movies off you. But yeah, first up, it's a 4K, and it's a film I've not seen for ages, and it's Waterworld on 4K. Now this was a famous, massive box office flop, and it put the brakes on Kevin Costner's career massively. I think it was Postman, the year after, 96, that really killed it, until he had a bit of a revival later on. He's certainly doing great now with Yellowstone. But yeah, I enjoyed this as a kid. I don't really know why it bombed, because I was young when it came out in 95. But there is an extended cut on this 4K. I've not seen it in years. It's obviously now a 4K native scan, I believe. It's now got DTS-X audio and HDR10, of course. So really looking forward to checking it out. I think given that pretty much all of it, I think, was shot on location during the day out in the water, it's probably one that's going to look fantastic on 4K. And that extended cut has 40 additional minutes. However, it's not in 4K, that one it is in HD. So I'll watch the theatrical first, then I might go back and watch the HD one later down the line to see all the stuff I've not seen. But yeah, not seen it, so I can't comment too much on it, and my memory is very faded on it. But it's basically Mad Max on water, and it's got Dennis Hopper as the kind of maniac villain that Kevin Costner goes up against. But I just remember Kevin Costner having webbed feet and gills, which is a bit disturbing. Is he supposed to kind of have evolved with the world? Now that I think it's something like 90% or like 99% of Earth, due to global warming or something, is now covered in water or something. But yeah, looking forward to checking that out, and I think I got this for £10 as well, and I had a voucher, so it worked out, you know, single figures to get this in 4K. No slipcover, sadly, but it is otherwise in good nick, and looking forward to finally watching it at some point. And then as promised, I've saved the steelbook to last. Now, I haven't actually seen the movie, but it was just the look of the steelbook that drew me in. So it's Ben Wheatley's High Rise from 2015. I mean, look at that steelbook. It's gorgeous, and it's in really good condition. You'll see closer up in the little unbox I've done how nice looking it is. Just so clean looking. It's got a lovely matte finish, and it's quite Hitchcockian. It reminds me of the artwork to his films, you know, Vertigo, Rear Window, Strangers on a Train, all that kind of stuff. It's quite like that kind of 50s, 60s kind of pop party artwork. So I love Tom Hiddleston, and I'm a sucker for, you know, kind of dystopian sci-fi type movies. And I just seen this, it was £3.50 or something like that for the steelbook version of this, and I hadn't seen it, so an easy blind buy. Just not getting to watch that. Typically, too busy rewatching classic movies in 4K or reviewing 4Ks, whatever. But yeah, High Rise, I think it's a kind of dystopian movie set in a world where there's a society within this massive high-rise building, and I think it's one of these ones where it's kind of, it's a class system, so the higher you are to the top, the more opulent lifestyle you live, and the closer you are to the bottom, the shittier deal you get, I'm assuming. And I think Tom Hiddleston's maybe going to be a kind of whistleblower or something with regards to this whole kind of class system, but I think he is from the higher levels. I don't know if it's a murder mystery thing. I've not even got the synopsis to go off here. Should have done my homework on IMDb so I could talk about it more. But yeah, looking forward to watching it. And it is a gorgeous steelbook. It's from British indie director Ben Wheatley, who did Sightseers and The Kill List. And probably his kind of biggest film to date has been Free Fire, which I have seen, and that's got a kind of big ensemble cast. And I did enjoy that. So hopefully I'll like this. I see the reviews for it are very polarising. But I'll watch it and I'll make my own mind up. But if you've seen High Rise or any of these movies, please comment down below and let me know your thoughts. But that's everything for this one. As I say, some steals there. I love getting into CEX. I encourage you to do that yourself. I just think that physical media, hunting for kind of second-hand stuff in the wild, be it CEX, charity shops, whatever, Facebook marketplaces, I find that quite thrilling, more exciting, and a lot easier on the wallet than getting into your high street retailers or buying online. I do love that and I like to support that, but as I say, I just find it a bit more exciting, picking stuff up for cheap. And with today's cost of living crisis, you can't knock adding to your collection for, you know, a couple of quid or under a tenner when it comes to 4Ks. But let me know down below what you thought of the haul and of those movies. And if you like these videos, let me know as well, so that I can do more of them. But I've been Andy, ElectricGeek. Of course, if you did enjoy the video, give it a wee like and consider subscribing for more content. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.